Well, good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Jason Dublin J. Ford, and we do have with us National Women's Coach Nikita Robinson, as well as the Technical Director, Development Director, right?
Yep.
Yes, yes.
Okay, Mr. Maurice Lowe. First of all, good evening. Jay, what was it last week? Yeah, last week the women's national team had their first two matches of the Women's World Cup qualifiers. Obviously going down to Jamaica 4-0, but then defeating Cayman Islands 6-0. Coach, two different results, but overall performance. I know we spoke after the Cayman game. Just give us, now that you've had time to evaluate and look at it all over again from a different point of view, more relaxed atmosphere. How did you evaluate the two performances combined?
Well, as I said in the interviews, we had a game plan going into Jamaica. We knew what Jamaica was going to present to us. Sorry, guys, watching Haiti and sorry, what they were going to present to us. And so we had to come up with a game plan to absorb the pressure. And the coaching staff did a fantastic job at designing that plan to frustrate Jamaica for most part of the game, which we did extremely well. I mean, I have to tip my hat to the girls because for the most part, they learned what was expected of them on tour, and they were able to execute it. It was really, 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 I can't say that enough, great to have the TD on board, especially on this tour, as I learned a lot as well as a coach on how we can get these girls to perform at the level that they performed at. 4-0, yes, okay, no problem. 4-0 in 2018 was a different 4-0. Than this 4-0. When we left the field, everybody was proud of what we had done, and we were happy with how the girls had performed. Would we have wanted a different result? Of course. We were very hopeful of actually winning that. Many would have said, "You guys got to be crazy," but the vibe was great. The sessions were great, and the girls were up for it. Going into the Cayman Islands game, we do not at any point in time downplay any opponent or take any opponent for granted. But we did know what we had in these players. And so we knew that we would get our attacking moments, and we did get those attacking moments, and we capitalized on them. So the game plan wasn't that much different for the Cayman Islands. Of course, we go in and we respect the team that we're playing until they show what they're going to bring, and then we hit them. So we were very pleased with both performances. One was a win, one was a loss, but again, the performance of the ladies was extremely good, and they bought into everything that we were trying to do.
Maurice, as an advisor to the coaches and giving them as much help and support as possible, being there, how did you feel as if giving them the added assurance that what needs to be done can be done? If they can't work it out, you're there to assist.
Yeah, I don't think that. So I'm the tactical development director, and she calls me boss man. And on this tour, I was able to call her boss lady, where like that type of hierarchy doesn't exist within our coaching staffs. So it is really authentic in that we're challenging each other's ideas. Not persons, not the person. You challenge the idea. And every single day, we had a conversation. Okay, what's your starting 11? This is for all of the coaching staff. Every single day, what's your starting 11? And then that's from match day -5, and debating and whittling it down and giving your reasons for your selections, and then we whittled it down until we got to consensus of what we wanted the teams to look like, and even some of the tactics. So it wasn't. We were all on board. It wasn't me higher than any of them. That's not how our exchanges work. We were all giving our all to try to get the best results we could for Bermuda.
Jay?
Yeah, just watching the two matches, I was quite impressed. Um, Kudos to the coaching staff who's been with these girls, young ladies for a while now, but kudos to it because technically and tactically, you could see what they was actually trying to do. What I will say I was surprised with, especially when we're talking on a lower level, a junior level, is the physical approach. A lot of times when we go up against a lot of opponents, even the men's, we get pushed off the ball a bit. We're not up against in the physical part, and they were hitting. There was some knocks in that game, and I was like, "Whoa!" Unfortunately, we suffered a couple of injuries in the first game, but I also could see just with that they were surprised how physical Bermuda was because our girls hit back, and I saw the frustration with their main striker, even though she ended up, I think, with two goals at the end of the game, but. She got frustrated for pretty much around 60 odd minutes, 62, 70 minutes. She was frustrated. And just watching the chat, Jamaicans on the chat, you could just see that they were getting frustrated because she wasn't able to do what she wanted to do. So, seeing what the ladies have done, and then to see the stacking match, you could see that their confidence had grown, even if they lost 4-0. You could see the confidence had grown, and surprisingly enough, Earl, I will say, I was even with their first touch. A lot of times, especially when young people are, exposed to something that is, they're not used to, especially in football. First touch is really some of the things that really goes first, or they're trying to get a handle of the first touch. And you can see compared to Cayman, Bermuda their first touch was a lot better than Cayman's. So overall, I think it was a good tour for what it was. But I'm hoping the girls can go stride and stride, and I'm pretty sure not everybody wants Cayman to the next trip. The next run.
Well, I want to welcome Coach Vance. Vance and Coach Keita have been battling with these young ladies for a number of years. Coach, watching these girls develop and seeing what what they were able to produce over the last two games now in the senior women's team, because a lot of these girls are actually traveling, or some of these girls are actually traveling with you tomorrow in the under 20s, but seeing what they can do at the senior level, how pleasing is it, or was it for you?
It was right?
Yes.
That's me?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's me too.
Professor, excuse my tardiness. I was actually watching the Jamaica-Haiti game.
So was Coach
Keita. And I know Coach Maurice is watching it too. Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm glad I don't want
to. Yeah, I think it bodes well, especially, the ones that were there in the inception from under 15s coming through. We definitely see the progress of them, and now they're getting their just reward by doing well in different competitions.
Coach Keita, looking at how this process has been undertaken, I know you and I keep talking about the amount of years that have gone in, and you actually said talking about this particular year, 2022. But when you start looking at how we match up in the region now, we've come leap and bounds, and confidence is going through the roof with the girls and so forth. But how do you evaluate where you're at in the region as to where you were maybe 4 years ago in the region at the different age groups?
Yeah, as I said earlier, 2018 is 4-0 and 2022 is 4-0, two different 4-0s. I did say 2022, where would we be when it comes to qualifying for the 2023 World Cup? And we're not out of it. Yeah, it was still very much in this tournament, and I think that the players see that as well. So the process in getting to this point, as we started with the Jadens and the Danny Watsons, who are now 19 years old, they were 12 years old when we started this process. So again, that was our measuring stick. Where would this group, along with some of our more veteran players, be in 2022? And I would say we're pretty much right where we want to be, or need to be, I should say. Where we want to be is obviously qualifying for the 2023 World Cup. But as I said, we're not out of it at all. Results, we still have our destiny in our hands. We beat Dominican Republic, and then Dominican beat Jamaica, and now it's out of us three. Who goes through. So I think, yes, I will say that I am happy with where we are at this moment, with the players that we have. There's some persons that aren't a part of the process anymore that we definitely had in our plans, but the ones that have come behind have definitely stepped up to the plate. So if I can make any kind of comment in regards to how I feel about where we are right now, is I'm very happy. I'm very pleased on where we are. Some of these girls have been riding for a long time. Some of them have been, they've gone through the 9s and the 8s and the 7s. We've been on the end of scoring 3 goals and conceding 21. So, some of these players have had that. So, they're in a good space, and it's always about them. Where are they? And so they're in a very good space. So I think that everybody will be pleased with where we are at this time.
Sure. Jay?
No, I totally agree. I will see. No, so I'll be honest with you guys. After the Jamaica game, and I, saw the injuries and hurt, and then I turned on the Cayman game, and I didn't see Aaliyah. I hit up Earl. Earl, what's going on? What happened? Where's she? Whatever. But then I almost fell in love with Nia Christopher. So I'm like, you know what? That's a real team. When somebody goes down, somebody's come right behind and picks up the slack, and that's the benefit of having a squad, as you would say. So kudos to all the girls, because once again, everybody, you're all going to get opportunity. It's what you do when the opportunity comes, and I think you guys have done quite well to prepare the ladies for the opportunity.
I mean, the other thing is that we're now dominating teams that we need to be dominating. Yeah, and as you pointed out, we lost 3 key players from the Jamaica game: Aaliyah, Kashayla, and Jaden. And 3 people slotted right in, and then we have a 6-0 performance. So, again, this is a team, and we said it on the tour the entire time. Like, we have 11 starters on the field, and we have 11 starters on the bench. It's such a good feeling to get to this point where anybody could have started and done the exact same job. But I think we did a very good job at selecting the starters and selecting those who came on to finish the job. So, yeah, that's the beauty of this team.
One question I have for you, coaches, before you go, one question I have for you, and I because with the lack of games we have here in the island for the young ladies, how did you coaches feel we did keeping up? Because I even saw, obviously, young ladies with cramp and stuff of that nature. But just the physical side with the game itself, the pace of the game, how do you think our ladies did overall?
You guys shot at it?
Yeah, I think we we done well. On the physical side of it, we done, or the players done a lot of preparation, physical preparation, and I think they done well. I know Jamaica probably was looking at us and thinking, we'll get tired and we wouldn't be able to stand up to them. But we looked at Jaden beside the player Shaw. It was like a girl and a woman. But on the field, we never backed down from her. We're from toe to toe. So, all of that growth in the players, I think we done well. I think the players have acquitted themselves for the next one. As you saw against Cayman, we pretty much dominated that physically as well as on the ball. So, we're getting there. We're getting there.
Sure. Well, we're going to take a commercial break, but when we come back, Maurice, I want you to answer the question of the talk around the TDs in the region, because I know, obviously, you guys must communicate as a region to make sure that everybody's, on the same page. But what's the talk of Bermuda, especially in the women's side of the game, amongst the TDs around the region? We'll be right back.
this?
This month, John Barrett & Son bring us a premium thirst quencher from North Carolina, the Blue Ultra Purified Water. Many other bottled waters use reverse osmosis to reach an acceptable level of purity. Le Bleu uses a 5-step purification process, which includes fractional vapor compression, distillation, and ozonation, assuring purity and a unique, appealing flavor. Consumer testimony repeatedly praises the taste of Le Bleu compared to the other brands, and this, along with superior purity, makes Le Bleu a must-try. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Thank you.
The discussion amongst the TDs in the region, what is that conversation like, especially around Bermuda and the vast improvement of our women's program?
It's so the TDs, we have a chat group. We go to conferences, we do studying and workshops together. So it's always interesting. I mean, in Jamaica's women's head coach Vin Blaine was, former technical director of Jamaica, and then he moved on to U.S. Virgin Islands, and now is the head coach of the senior women's national team. So we get, sometimes you get, it's good relationships overall, but you get a bit of banter every once in a while as well. So the Barbados, former Barbados TD, is always egging on Bermuda, and they got the better of us a few times as well. So he thinks he's figured us out. So we got a lot of banter, and then, throughout the region, you either got a bullseye on your back or you're aiming at somebody else. So we know that in order for us to reach our objectives, then Jamaica is one of the countries that we're gonna have to deal with. So we see them at in all levels of our football. And just like we're aiming at Jamaica, there's other countries that are aiming at us. That's a fair gauge of where we are. So I'm very pleased with our program overall. I'm very pleased with where our men's team are, and now our women are emerging and taking their place as well. And what I will say is that I'll give kudos to CONCACAF. Before CONCACAF, I'll give kudos to Vance, Nikita, and Aaron, who have been long serving in women's football, for decades. And now there's a saying amongst technical directors that competition drives development. So we've seen what the improvement has been for our men's team to have regular matches. And now our women have just begun that journey. So a lot of time on tour we say, yeah, this is just the beginning. We know that we have a next match in April, and now we got Women's Nations League coming up, and then you got Women's Gold Cup coming up. So we know that that's one of our biggest challenges, being isolated the way we are as a country. So now when we get regular matches, regular competitions, we know that our teams will rise, because a lot of our other processes and values put us in good stead for when we get opportunities. In this instance, the opportunity being competition, that will show the resolve that we have as a people, as a country.
I know we are talking about the women's national team, but it'd be remiss of me if we didn't mention tomorrow. You guys are off for the CONCACAF Women's Under-20 Championships, and of course, the fact that you've advanced to the knockout stage is a vast improvement of a testament to the work that's been done by Coach Keita, Vance, and Aaron over the years with the younger groups and helping them develop through. But looking at the prospects of this team, you guys are watching that Jamaica game because obviously you're going to pick the winner of the group. But just the process of going through and having that confidence of you getting into this knockout stage, feeling good about the fact that you won your group in order to get to this. Take us through how that as a coach, Coach Keita and Coach Vance, how you're feeling about the entire women's national team program.
It is first.
Ladies first. Okay. No, it is amazing, right? Unfortunately, we don't have a couple of our players that play with the senior team traveling tomorrow. Obviously, Jaden injured, and then we have two others that are unavailable due to school commitments, which is fine. But again, because of the depth that we have in the program now, the number of players coming through, we have the under-17s who have a tournament at the end of April. So a lot of the women's team were under-20s. A lot of this under-20 team is under-17. So the overlapping is amazing for us because we're using tournaments to prepare. And to be honest, this under-20 team, as I have watched these games over the past week, it's very comparable to the teams that other team we're going to play. At the moment, we're playing Guatemala. So for us, it just bodes well for what we've been doing over the last few years, right? And we're now getting more teams age appropriate. So our under-20s are going to be legit under-20s soon. Our under-17s are going to be legit under-17. Bless Don Vickers Hart. He has the under-15s, and poor guy has about 35 to 40 players. So, so that is such an amazing feeling, and it's good to see that we have this number of players and the experience that these players are going to get. That's what's helped us get to this point. Like a lot of these players, such as the Dennis and the Emilis and the Jadens, those guys have played against the USA. They played against Canada. They played against teams such as that along this route. So these next lot of players are having that same experience. So a lot of these girls traveling tomorrow, they've just hit that under-17 age group, are going to get this experience as well. So that's just been what the process has been about, and we're just now seeing the fruits of that labor. So yeah, we're happy. I'm happy. And I can speak for Aaron and Vance. Aaron promised me he was coming if his team didn't play tonight. I knew they didn't play. I got some licks for him.
Yeah. Vance?
Yeah, same as Coach Keita. I'm very excited to see, how this bunch comes through. I think having some of the girls that played in that under-15, that Keita and I was instrumental and Aaron and putting those girls together. Now we can see them at a different level. It's just unfortunate, like Keita said, we don't have everyone, but the players that we do have, I'm excited, to be traveling with them to see, what they can do at the next level, how they've grown.
Jay?
So I don't know who can answer this question, but I'm just hoping somebody can. So watching these streams, I like it, don't love it. I want to see these young ladies here on our own soil. I know that the premier has talked about opening up. We've spoken with the sports minister. He's telling me that we're going to be opening up.
So those are the people you got to ask the question.
Well, I don't know if you guys know when will be possible we get the first entertain us here on home soil. Please, somebody give me some type of idea. Is it going to be 2022 and leave?
911 premier.
Help is on the way, Jay. Help is on the way.
A game against Grenada on April the 12th is
12th.
our home game, and we're hoping that we don't have to play in Florida. But we're guarded by what we have to do,
Yeah.
and hopefully we can play it in Bermuda.
Well, let's put it like this.
Things are trending well.
Let's put it like this. We will be hosting a qualifier hockey tournament in Bermuda with 5, 6, 7, 8 teams. So I don't see why not we shouldn't be able to host our women's national team on home soil the week before that. I'm just saying.
Jay, we'll
Okay.
be playing April 12th at the stadium.
See, that's
Right
what I'm looking for. Her. See that?
We're gonna play April 12th against Grenada to a sold-out stadium on April 12th.
So let me give you another question. We flip it again there, because what I would love to see, I mean, Vance and Maurice probably remember, and Earl remembers because his dad old. But what about a traveling contingency going down? Can we drum up enough support so we can go ahead and chart our plane to go down to see some of these girls play once they go through the next stage?
Come to Dominican. Well, make sure you come to the stadium. Hey, come to Dominican, come to the stadium. Don't go fishing. Come to the stadium.
I think I'm breaking up here.
You gotta work on the translation.
Dominican or Dominica? Which one? I gotta make sure.
Well, I want to wish you guys all the best. You've carried these young ladies to promised lands that some of them wouldn't have seen when they first started, but you kept giving them the faith and courage to continue on the journey, and it hasn't ended. We start another one tomorrow with the under 20 women. And as you have indicated, most of them are under 17. So, we want to encourage them to represent this country as best they can, give it their all. One shot, you go through. If not, it's a learning experience, and we move on from there. So, to the TD, I know you have your hands full because you have to keep these two under menace.
No problem at all.
Yeah.
The accident. I don't have any complaints. My only complaint with them sometimes is building in rest for them. They are so passionate and committed to football. So my hardest challenge with them is getting them rest.
All right. Well, this show finishes around 9, just after 9. I'll give you a call so we can get the real story, okay?
No, that's the real story.
I know a very long time. I know their passion. I know what they've been putting in the tireless hours to give these young ladies the best opportunity, not only just to play for the country, but also get a career in getting educated, as we have an abundance of these young ladies now away in school, and to be successful in life after the sport. So I want to encourage you guys to keeping on with these young ladies, and we'll support you in any way we can. And, again, good luck tomorrow and over the weekend in that match against whomever is the group winners of this group that you guys have to face. Okay?
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But we're going to take a commercial break. And when we come back, we'll be joined by Gladwin Roots Phillips. We'll be talking martial arts. We'll be back.
The history of everyday use of spices extends back thousands of years into antiquity. Since 1976, the Frontier Natural Foods Co-op has been bringing a wide range of exciting and authentic flavors to the table. A comprehensive range of ancient traditional herbs and spices produced organically and sustainably. The results are good news for the environment and more robust, fragrant essential oils in these natural seasonings. This month, we're featuring Frontier Natural Products, at least 95% organic salt-free lemon pepper. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, good evening, Mr. Phillips. How are you?
Good evening, Earl. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. I have my co-host Jason Ford with me.
Jason, how you doing?
Obviously, you're known well across this island as Sensei Roots. You've been at this particular sport for. We'll leave that alone.
Don't say my age. Don't say my age, Earl.
But yearly, you put on events, and the one that's coming up is kind of very special for you. Give us a little bit of history of the event and why it's so unique and special for you to be the host.
Well, Earl, I've been doing martial arts, I'm going to say it anyway, for over 40 years. Started as a youngster. But the tournament that's coming up, it's the Burirama Zanjiru Bermuda Karate Shiai. It's going to be held down at the Whitney, I believe it's the auditorium down there. It's on March 20th. It starts at 10 p.m. Doors open at 9:30. But what's so special about this particular tournament is that we've had a 2-year absence because of COVID. Unfortunately, we were unable to hold any events. But we have the green light for this particular event, and we're happy to be putting it on at this time.
You get quite a large participation, and let me just correct, it's 10 a.m., right?
10 a.m. start, yes. Doors open at 9:30.
Sure. You get a large participation from many other dojos around the island. Why is that? Because there's some that don't get as much participation.
So Earl, when you say dojo, it sounds like you know exactly what you're talking about.
I've been around it for
just a little bit. Yes, yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. So we invited about maybe 10 to 15 schools. Not all schools will probably participate, but you know what's good for me is that the invitation is there for the schools, right? And what we try to do, we try to gear it up more towards the youth, to the kids. You know, nothing gives good joy than seeing those young kids out there after they've been practicing in the dojo, as you say, which is correct. Actually get out there and compete against someone else other than their friends inside the school. And we've seen some really good kids come along in the recent years. We did have a few tournaments already this year, but what makes it special for me is that I like to host my own particular tournament. But this one here, with the help of the Shoto Cup production under Master Edmund Johnson, we kind of like feel that, you know, it's going to be a really, really special tournament.
Mm-hmm. Now, it's so many different forms that you guys use, because you have different categories, different age groups, and yes, so forth. But take us through what's the available categories that they will compete in.
Right. So we have all the way from the novice, intermediate, the advanced, and then we have the black belts. We have the grandmasters, which is the over 45s, and then we have the under 45s. And what normally happens with the black belts, we would have what we call like a grand champion. So what would happen is, right, we would have the under 45s against the over 45 category winners to have a grand champion, to see if the older guys are still got it, like myself, but you know, and normally we do, right? But in the other categories of the novice, intermediates, and the advanced, we also do the same thing. We do a grand champion. So you'll take the novice under 10s and the novice over 10 to 15. We'll put them together and we'll have a grand champion. It makes it uniquely special, because sometimes what you will get the novice under 10 might be just a little stronger than the novice 10 to 15. And it makes it a very interesting category to have.
Sure. Jay?
Yeah.
Well, glad to have you on, Sensei, because this was one of the things that growing up, what his age, but growing up in the 70s, right, you know, watching many karate flicks, you know, everybody went and brought the karate slippers. And,
Right.
and
Remember, not to cut you, right? But remember the days of going to the old Rosebank Theater, and
Sure.
after you watched a karate movie, you come out and you're kicking with your friends.
oh, I'm telling you. Until
You
you got
remember
hit.
that?
Well, until you got hit. Once you got hit, it was a lot. Like that's not
I
how they do
noticed,
this movie.
I noticed he didn't admit the Rosebank part. See?
Right.
Look,
That's really going back.
look, I'm not trying to. Look, I'm not trying to. I need to shave a bit. I need to shave. But in saying that, I mean that was a heavy influence, especially for youngsters to get into the forms or either form. Not only for discipline. I mean, parents loved it because it was discipline, right?
Right.
But the
Right.
kids was more, to see a guy jump and do flips off a building and do all these different
Yeah.
things. We let's go until we went to that first class. That's like,
Right.
okay, you know what? This might not be for me.
Right.
But with now, I mean, things have changed a bit. You don't see as many karate flicks or sensationalized how it used to be. How are you able to capture some of the young people now and keep them motivated? Because you don't see, like, even in the movies that much anymore, right?
Right. Well, that's a good point. Point number one, I don't even watch the karate movies. I don't watch them on TV because some of those are just that. It's a movie.
Yes.
Nobody's going to jump off a building and land like 30, 40, 50 feet, and on their feet and they get ready in the stands. It's just not going to happen, And point two, the interesting conversation I had this evening with one of my black belts, Sensei Randy Darrow, right? And we came up with, it's just not it's not enough discipline with the youngsters right now, But when you do enter my dojo, my school, it's completely disciplined. What happens is when you walk in, you give respect. You take your shoes off. You pack them neatly underneath your chair or the place that you'll be for the evening. You set your water bottle down nice. Like everything is about discipline. And what we did discuss was that, what we would really like to see? A little bit of curricula as far as martial arts in some of the schools,
Yes.
because the discipline is just not there at the moment. A lot of the kids these days, and I shouldn't say all of them, but a lot of them do need a little bit of discipline. And we came up with, we thought martial arts would teach them that little bit of discipline, So
just talking about that, how do you're having a conversation, but how would you implement that in a school structure? Because I think it's vital. I think it's important. And I think the younger we start it,
absolutely,
the better, because it's going to teach them how to navigate through issues other than confrontation.
Right. And point one, how would we implement that? It's a tough question, Earl. The thing about that, I guess we will probably have to sit down and have a serious, not just a talk in the dojo, but a serious conversation with maybe an MP or something, someone that would be able to look at it and realize or probably say, hey, that's not a bad idea. Why don't we try it, in maybe one or two schools to try to get it on the right track and see where we can go from that. The discipline side of it is very important. We have some parents that come in and they would say, Sensei, how did you get my son to do that? How do you get him to keep still for 30 seconds? A part of our meditation part is to just stand still, eyes closed, meditate for like 30 seconds or so and keep still. And they're like, how do you do that? He doesn't keep still at home, But we managed to capture those students by just being very stern. And another thing is, it's probably another voice that they don't hear, other than the teacher's voice or the voice at home. Because if mama's saying, can you keep still for a minute? Oh, yeah, okay. But when Sensei says to keep still, they keep quiet. It's just a different voice,
I know there's probably a lot of people out there that don't know your background. So give us a little bit about your background and how you've elevated to where you are today in the sport.
Okay, so now I'm going to have to say my age, right? because what I'm going to say is that going back many years, let's say, I remember walking on Court Street. Sensei Skipper Ingham had his dojo there. It was on Court Street. It was by the old, I don't know if it was the Conrads or one of those wooden buildings on the corner where the police station is now, right? It was a building inside there. So we creeped up the steps. We thought we were quiet. Another friend of mine, Raymond Hassel, and myself, we went up the steps. We thought we were quiet. And we were looking in. And we see these guys doing martial arts. And we didn't think anybody saw us. But Sensei Skipper says, "Who's out there? Come in here." And I'm like, he heard that, right? So when we went in, we managed to go in, and he says, "You guys want to learn some martial arts?" So we said, "Yeah." He says, "But we can't really afford that." He said, "But don't worry about the money. Work out anyway." And so we started to work out. And surprisingly enough, I worked my way all the way up to black belt. And in 1994 in Buenos Aires, Argentina, we took a team of about 13 to the WKO World Championships. Right. In saying that, you know, I don't pat myself on the back, but I'm proud of myself. I won the under 45K division in Comité and won the World Championships. And hey, you know, Earl, surprisingly enough, a lot of people don't know that. Right?
I know a lot of people don't know that.
Look at Ford. Look at Ford. Like, what? You didn't know that?
He did not. I know he didn't know that.
I was off the island at the time.
Buenos Aires, Argentina. I won the World Championships.
Yeah.
That's a little bit about myself.
Sure. Now, you've been in the teaching realm for quite some time. Although you were working your way through, you were still starting out the teaching. How much influence on the way you teach did Skipper have on you?
Oh, absolutely, 100% in my ability to teach. Now, I take a lot of words of wisdom, and I must just shout out to Sensei Skipper for a quick minute, and then I'll go back to that. Sensei Skipper is 93 years old, right? And he's taught me everything I know as far as karate is concerned. And a lot of the things that he's taught me, I've taken it into my personal life as well as my karate life. The strongness, the sternness, the you know, looking someone straight in the eye when you're talking to him. You could learn a lot about people when you talk to them and you're talking straight to them.
Yes.
Some people, when they look down, you say, "Well, I don't have his attention." You know what I mean? But I'll keep going. You know, Sensei Skipper has taught me a lot as far as being strong, stay on the right track, and most of my ability to teach. Now, what I have done, and I've always said to my black belts, a lot of stuff that I'm telling you, it's not something that I just thought of. It's stuff that was taught to me. So in handing down a lot of the philosophy and a lot of stuff about martial art, it's stuff that was taught to me by Sensei Skipper Ingham. And now I've passed it on to my students. And I'm strong. I know I'm strong. I know that my students look at me in that way. Especially some of my kids, they look for someone to look up to, someone someone that's strong and someone that's going to teach them and keep them on the right track. And I feel that as of now, I think I'm doing a pretty good job, Earl.
Okay.
I think you know, Ford. I think I'm doing okay.
All right. I'm glad you haven't said your age.
I haven't said it yet.
See, he still ain't said it, Earl.
Yeah, but when I went back to 1994, you know, and I've been training for so long, some people out there is going to do some mathematics, right? Well,
what we're going to do is we're going to take another commercial break. But when we come back, I want you to kind of break down the different forms. We know there are weapons. Yes. And then there's different arts of sorts. So just break down the different forms. But that's when we come back. We'll be right back.
All right.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Most of us identify pasta with the joys of Italian food, the most popular cuisine on the planet. After all, pasta is the staple food of Italy, where hundreds of varieties are enjoyed daily. While traveling in the Far East, the founder of the Explore Cuisine company was surprised and impressed by the variety of exotic pastas he found, sampled, and enjoyed there, and resolved to bring this knowledge back to enrich the cuisine of the West. This month, we're featuring delicious Explore Cuisine organic mung bean fettuccine and black bean spaghetti. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Before the commercial break, I was asking you, Sensei Roots, about the different forms. So can you just break down, because we know that there's the staff, there's the swords, there's all sorts of different classifications.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes. Look, let me explain to you how it goes. But we're got like I said, when I invited 10, 15 schools or so. We've got various different schools that's going to be participating. We have Shotokan school, we have the Goju, we have Kung Fu, Jiu-Jitsu, the Wushu. We also have a special category that we created for Sanda, which is I think they had the boxing the other night up at the shed up in Dockyard, and I a couple of those guys, Garen Wilkinson and Oscar Leiper, and a couple of those guys are involved in what they call Sanda. I can't say too much about it; they can probably explain it. But we created a special category for that because there's a lot of kids that are interested in that form of martial arts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But getting back to some categories that we have, so we have open hand kata. Open hand kata is performed by one person. Then we have synchronized kata, which is a three-person kata, right? Beautiful to watch. I must say that I had in one of the tournaments I had some of my students enter that particular category, 3 of them, and won that division, which is good. And then we have the weapons category, which is an open category, which you could have the bow staff, you could have the size, you could have the chain, you can have the spear, the sword. It's different, variations of the they call it kobudo. Then you have so that's the 2, the synchronize. Most of those categories are going to be contested. When I say contested, more than 3 people will enter that particular category. So that's kind of like the categories that we have. Like I said earlier, we have the novice, we have the intermediate, we have the advanced. And like I said, more for the kids. I mean, as we get a little older, we want these kids to succeed. We want them to thrive forward. And so I'm hoping that I'll have a good turnaround on that day and have a lot of kids entering these particular events.
Sure. Jay?
I'm surprised you didn't say nunchucks. You know,
No, I mean, you got the nunchucks. you know, back
That's what he moves, man. That's what he moves.
That's my point.
my age again, right? We gotta keep going. Like when we say back in the day, we're talking like 100 years ago. Not 100 years ago. It wasn't that long, right? But I remember when we used to have the tournaments at the Pembroke Sunday School over at St. John's over there. You had people had nunchuckers. They were using them, and I think they've outlawed those nunchuckers now. I'm not sure if you can get your hands on them, So yeah, that will be off the table. But I'm looking for a good turnout. Hopefully, we'll get quite a few students from different schools to enter. If someone's out there watching at the moment and they haven't registered, they could also go to www.shotocup.bm. That's where my tournament will be. All the information you can find will be on that particular website, or you can call 777-5353. That's Master Edmund Johnson's number, and he's the tournament director for my event that's going to be put on. Okay.
Now, I come to quite a bit of these events, and I consider myself a novice person. I'm just there trying to capture the moments of these athletes performing. When judging, because you have these judges sitting in different areas, and you have these people come out and they perform, especially the ones the freehand.
Right.
How is that being judged? Right, but my thing is this: does every judge know every form that the person's doing it correct?
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Earl. So we're such a small country, right? And we're limited to the resources that we have. So over the years, most, if not all, of the instructors have studied, looked at most of these katas that are there. And for most of the tournaments that we have, there's a kata list. You have to do the kata within the grade, within the list that you have. So let's just say myself, if I'm judging a Shotokan kata, more than likely, I've seen that kata before. I can see the mistakes that are made in that particular kata. So like I said, we're limited to the resources that we have. But with us seeing these katas over the years, let's leave the years out again, right? Over a number of years, we get to know these katas. You get to know if there's a mistake being made. So what we're doing now with the Shoto Cup production, right? We're going to separate the karate side from the kung fu side. So the kung fu judges will be judging the kung fu. The karate side of it, we'll have the karate practitioners judging that side of it, judging it. So we're going to completely separate it this particular time. Because let's just say, although we know that some of the guys have made a mistake, some people might not see that mistake.
Yeah.
But the kung fu guys judging the kung fu, they would know that someone's made a mistake. And so we'll be judging correctly this time.
Jay, it's interesting because I often watch the face of the competitor.
Yes.
And if you know they've made a mistake, there's a facial expression
that comes over.
Yeah. But you have to quickly change it back and continue on in the hopes that somebody else messes up. But it's that looking at it, because I couldn't tell you if the form was right or wrong, but I just look at the expression on the face.
And this is what I teach in my school. I say, guys, if you make a mistake, just keep going. Act like nothing's happened. Because once you put that expression on your face, like, oh, and then you keep going, it's, oh, you made a mistake. We're going to take a photo off.
Even if I
keep going, you never know. The luck of the draw, Absolutely.
Any final questions, Jay?
Yeah, just a couple of things. Just piggybacking on what you said, that's where it becomes an art, Earl. And this is when, choreography and stuff comes into place. And even artist goes on stage. The last they actually tell, hey, don't tell nobody that you made a mistake. Just keep going, right? Most of the people that's there probably don't even know, right? So
Right.
any artist, anytime you perform, anytime you get to that's the thing that you tell them. What I've done from you, Sensei, and which is I really, really respect the forms and the arts, is that you reach, you teach, and then you release. And when
Absolutely.
I say release, you're giving back that information that have been taught to,
Yes.
that you've teach, and now you're passing it on to the next generation so they can go back and bring the next person along.
Right.
So tell me right now, because I'm looking at our country, especially a young black man or young black youth, we see headlines throughout the week. We have a problem. We
Yeah.
have a problem here on this island, and I believe, and I'm telling you, I really believe these arts can do a lot for our young people. So I need you right now. How can you convince a parent right now to say, "Hey, give us a chance with your young one," because you might not be able, like I said, they might need a different voice.
Right.
To be honest with you, I'm very surprised because you mentioned earlier how, or somebody might say strict, or you might say discipline.
Discipline.
We know how that has been eroded in some households over the years. We know how that's eroded in the schools over the years.
Right.
But in your art form, in your karate schools, no, this is paramount.
No.
It's paramount, right? That has not wavered, right?
No, it has not. And interesting point. You know, I can't understand how we have lost our way with people. And I'm not going to say our people, with people. We have lost our way. I mean, back in the day, if Granny said, "Go and get me something," you better hurry up and get it. You know, but today it's a totally different. If not, wait, oh, there you go. But you know, I'm a strong believer that karate can help discipline a lot of our young people. If we can just get them into a karate class, and like I said to Sensei Daryl this evening, it doesn't have to be my class. It could be someone else's class. If we can just get them into a class and see how disciplined we are in our karate schools, not just mine, but all the schools, most schools, it will be a totally different avenue that these kids will go on. And, you know, the discipline side of it is just unreal. Discipline is first in my school. And we teach karate second. That's what we do.
Okay. All right. Well, we want to wish you all the best in your upcoming event.
Thank you, Ford. Thank you, Earl.
We'll be around to capture some highlights and
I appreciate that.
People know what's going on. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All righty. We're going to take our final commercial break, and when we come back, we'll wrap up this edition of the Island Stand Sports Show. Thanks, Ruth.
Thank you. Right.
Okay.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Most of us acknowledge that there's something special about organic food. To be sure, organically grown foods are cleaner and devoid of toxic pesticides, genetic modification, antibiotics, and growth hormones. And reports that the flavors of these foods are accordingly bolder and more authentic surely resonate with lovers of good eats. Field Day is a producer of organics who deliver on these promises and ingeniously add affordability to the mix. Good news for us thrifty consumers. We're featuring Field Day Organic Grade A Maple Syrup. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
so thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Well, Jay, tonight has been a very informative night. We know that, again, we want to wish the under-20 women's national team all the best as they depart Bermuda tomorrow, heading to the Dominican Republic for their match from the group winners in, I believe it's Group H.
Should have told me earlier. Could have booked a flight.
What's that?
Could have told me earlier, but could have booked a flight, man.
Okay, all right. Well, I let you know last week Tuesday. It was on my site last week Tuesday that they were heading. The squad was picked.
A little sooner.
Okay, a little sooner. Okay, I can't get no sooner than that, mate. And then, of course, we want to thank Sensei Roots, Gladden Phillips. One of the things that I really want to harp on when it comes to the suggestion that he made about getting into the schools is, let's not wait until it's too late. If we want to address a problem, we have to address it when it first pushes its way through the surface. And if we don't, then we're always chasing it. We've seen it over and over and over. Jay, we've seen this play itself out over and over and over. And then we want to stand on the sideline and kick down doors, but it's late. We know we have this issue right now. We've seen it in the past 2 weeks. These are young people that are putting lives at risk, putting their own lives at risk. And we have to address it. And the quickest way is to get in front of it, meet it head on, and let's not keep talking. It's time for action. And I think people need to really start to speak to it with their young people. They know if your son, daughter, uncle, cousin, relation, they're involved. Let's address it. Let's have that conversation. Let them know that somebody loves them, and hopefully it could change something along the way.
Yeah, it leads to a bigger discussion, and I've had it with the minister quite frequently the last month or so. Is as a community, we do not value sports and the arts, how they can help our community. If we show some more emphasis on what the value of the arts and sports, when it leads to discipline, when it leads to, those idle minds, as we would say back in the day, idle minds is a troubled mind. These programs that these sports and arts programs have, if we give it support to bring the kids in, because once we get them in, then they would learn good habits. They would, good life skills. The problem is, it's always a reactionary, and that's what we're talking about, the reactionary side of it. So I know the minister we're talking about, he is passionate to try to bring sports and arts to the forefront of how valuable it is to our social fabric on this island. I will say, Earl, last week, Friday, I was invited to the Salter School, that a Founders Week, and during the week they had some sports competitions throughout the week, staff versus the kids. But one of the things they wanted me was commentate a cricket bowl-off. So to see some youngsters, the young ladies and the young guys, but also, old friends, old coaches, or old friends are Darren Lewis there, the likes of Darren Lewis, Sheridan Baldy Ming, Jones, Lionel Can, Johnny Newsom was there. Richard Todd was there. So to see that and to see how the kids react to not just the sport itself, but just even the kids that came down to watch it.
Mhm.
You know, they get caught up in the game and stuff. They get caught up in the cheering each other on, and you know, for the 45 minutes, it was action packed for the 45 minutes that it was, right?
And then the other 45 minutes was ice packs, right?
Well, they go they only had to build one bowl. But right after that, they was having a netball game also, right? So I was almost gonna stay. I had to run. On the Saturday, I was able to go up to the Bermuda College and check out the Pee Wee cricket.
Mm.
My mini-me, it was first time she tried it and she loved it. And another thing, to see some of the national players be involved and help to coach the Pee Wee cricket, I think is something that, you know, we've talked about many times. And I know these programs have had it, but to see it and to see these kids reacting, because now when they see a Zico Burgess or a Trey Mendes on TV, they can say, guess what, Daddy? That's my coach, or this, that, and the other. How important that is, not only for national squad players, but for those youngsters who are coming through.
Mm.
And I think that's we have to, I hate to say this here, we're so quick to bring a consultant to the island to tell us what we should do.
Mm. We know what we're already doing.
We know.
Yeah.
The arts are here.
Mm.
Our greatest resources is the people.
Yeah.
So to say that, just to wrap it all up, I'm glad to hear that cricket is on the forefront of a lot of people's minds, especially with the announcement of St. George's. I'm pretty sure, I don't know, what's your take on the new coach of St. George's, even though that was, everybody probably saw it coming last year, and Wendell did mention about it. But not only
George's has a new coach.
well, it was been, yeah, Clay has taken over from Wendell.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But not only that, the transfer, I believe the transfer date is, I want to say Friday.
Yeah, it's earlier this year. They promised to do it earlier.
So I've heard some rumbles on some people supposed to be moving around, but you know, once again, you gotta let that play out, because like last year we heard a lot of rumbles of this, that, and the other, and most guys stayed where they would stay put. So be interested next week, this time. Will there be any surprises?
It won't be out that soon. They don't do that like that.
Why not?
Because they turn around and tell you that, well, we've got to let the club that released me then can object to the club I'm going to. So it takes about a 2-week period for them to release. Yeah.
Oh, he's just busting my bubble, man. You know what?
Yeah. So, yeah.
On that note, Earl, look.
Have a good night.
Yeah, have a nice night.
All right.